Wilson from CCDL, our keynote speaker tonight. He's our president, and CCDL is a nonpartisan grassroots organization devoted to advocating rights affirmed by the Constitution of the United States of America and the state of Connecticut. They are dedicated to protecting our unalienable right to keep and bear arms for the defense of both self and home and state through public enlightenment and legislative action. With Scott Wilson.
Thank you, everybody, for having me out here tonight to talk about our organization and beyond. Our organization, CCDL, was introduced. Our mission statement was read. We were founded in February of 2009. Basically, we were just essentially a collection of gun rights wannabes. At that point, we had met online on a gun forum, and we decided to meet one night for dinner at a location central to Connecticut. None of us had ever been involved in any type of politics. None of us had really ever been involved in any type of activism. So what we did was essentially we just picked a restaurant, and we went out and we met. And that night there were probably about 20-something people, I think, at the dinner. There were a couple tables put together, and we were in the middle of the room. It was the old Hops restaurant up in Newington. And we were all kind of looking around at each other and talking and ordering food. And what happened was, I think, was really unique. I don't know what it was, but it was something really happened with the people that were there that night. Because on my side of the room, we're the ones. Literally, I could have cut the two tables in half, and we are the ones that went on to form the Connecticut Citizens Defense League. And on the other half of the second table that was put together, what happened was the folks that came there, they wanted to meet and shake hands and meet and have dinner with some other gun owners. Some of the folks there were open carrying, and they felt good about going out in public and doing it, and because there weren't a lot of people at that time involved in the open carry movement in Connecticut, and so a lot of people were really leery about it. So we met, we had dinner, and what I was doing at that time was looking around and really trying to talk to some of the folks that were there to see if they really wanted to try to build a gun rights organization. Because at that time, there was the Coalition of Connecticut Sportsmen, which was essentially pretty much for the most part a one-man show who was advocating for gun rights up in Connecticut, but he was doing that, again, as a one-man show, and he was doing a lot of other things on top of that. Sportsmen's rights all the way around, hunting rights, fishing, trails, outdoor trails, ATVs, and those types of things. So we wanted an organization, we decided we wanted an organization that was essentially one that was focused purely on our Second Amendment rights. So that's what we did. We started the organization. Those other people at the other end of the room, they were very nice, but we decided that we were going to be serious about what we were doing. We picked a name, we went back and forth and picked the name of CCDL because we were really influenced by the Virginia Citizens Defense League, and we had heard so many wonderful things about them fighting at the statewide level down there. And what I was able to do was contact the president of that organization, get some tips, get some pointers. They shared their bylaws with me, which was something that wasn't easy to do because they're secret and exclusive to that organization, but they did. So it gave us a little bit of an idea on how to move ahead and move forward. Onward and upward we went. We started doing the things that a new organization does. We opened up a bank account. We filed incorporation papers. All the things that essentially really a small business would do. And so by I think around the 7-month mark, we had our bylaws complete, and we were fully incorporated shortly thereafter, and we were at that point fully established as an operating entity in the state of Connecticut. We started planning, gun rallies and things of that nature because we were new, and at that time there was not a lot of people that were totally on board with these new kids on the block coming out to try to help defend our gun rights and promote gun rights. So we had to do some things to try to get our name out there. We planned some gun rallies both here in Connecticut, and we joined on. We piggybacked on with a national movement at the time, the Second Amendment March, and we sent a contingent down to DC to be part of a nationwide organizational rally down there. And we had a great time. And we started to get to know some of the people, and some of the people started coming to our monthly meetings, which are held in Middletown. This has been a life-changing experience for me because I would have never gone on to do the things that I've done. I would have never met the people that I've met, and I never would have thought anything like this would have happened in my life. Our second year, we started doing things like testifying at the legislature and sharpening our skills and learning the legislative process and learning who our legislators were, not just Scott's legislators, but I started knowing some of the other legislators, who was in the majority, who was in the minority, who was on what committee, and these are things that one individual in particular came just about the right time in where we needed to start to learn how to do these things. And he came and he left after about 6 months, but he was there just during that first legislative session that we were really involved in. But he showed us how to go around, how to find a legislator, how to write and prepare testimony. These are the types of things that we do today ourselves. We were taught 5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, how to do this stuff. And what happened is now we have seminars across in different gun clubs across Connecticut to teach other people the legislative process, how to communicate with their legislators, how to essentially get involved and inspire some enthusiasm into the process. Because prior to any of this, I was probably like a lot of other people. You folks are here, you folks are engaged, obviously, or you wouldn't be here right now. But once upon a time, Scott would sit and see what was going on a little bit and watch the TV and watch how Congress was voting and watch how our state government was voting, and I would get really mad about it. But maybe every once in a while I would fire off an email or something somewhere, but that was it. That was the extent of my involvement. And certainly more needed to be done at that time, and certainly more needs to be done today. So that was really our second year. By the third year, we were somewhere around the 1,700 member mark, and we had grown as an organization. We were regularly seen at any gun hearing at the Capitol, anything that had to do with firearms. Legislators knew who we were. We had a lot of media exposure in the news by that point, and again, our membership was looking towards us to try to do some things. Around that time, there were a couple bills that were really crucial, and one of them was the magazine capacity ban hearing, which was Senate Bill 1094 a couple of years back, which at that point we hadn't been faced with anything like the tragedy that we had during Sandy Hook. We were able to resoundingly defeat that bill. We showed up in force, and we had a lot of our members and other people from around the state came and learned about us that day. But we took the fight to them, and we knocked it out of the Judiciary Committee that year. Prior to that, we had also defeated a long gun registration bill where the language for this, it was part of an omnibus package that was sent by DPS. The long gun registration language was actually stripped right out of the bill, right on the floor within a 20-minute time period because of some key testimony by our Vice President. On December 14th, 2012, everything changed. CCDL, at that time, we were right around the 2,499 members, and that was over a 3.5-year run. I was at work that day, and I watched in horror as the events unfolded. Everyone did. Within hours, the media circus descended upon Newtown, Connecticut, particularly Sandy Hook Elementary School. The next 4 months, for myself and others in my organization, we watched the surrealistic downward spiral. We attempted to reason with our elected officials to not destroy our constitutional rights. They simply would not listen. They would not allow us to publicly testify on the final language of the bill that passed into law, which was Senate Bill 1160. All of the instrumentation of power was leveled against us in our organization and all constitutional supporters. To name a few, the Sandy Hook Advisory Commission, the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, the Police Chiefs Association, the leaderships of both the Republican minority and the Democratic majority, the full legislative body, and finally the governor. And I'm going to throw in here the media. Very, for the most part, biased media. We rallied at the Capitol, and we vowed to overturn the law in April. It passed in April. On May 22nd, CCDL, in partnership with the Coalition of Connecticut Sportsmen, several gun shops, and several individuals, filed suit in Connecticut Federal District Court. The case is known as Shu v. Malloy. Amicus briefs have been filed in support by several organizations, and a motion for summary judgment has been filed by our attorney as well. This motion for summary judgment and subsequent lawsuit seeks to attack the law on the constitutional basis with firearms that are in common use, equal protection under the law, and also a few finer points. We're anxiously awaiting the outcome, and we are prepared to see this challenge through the district, the circuit, and if need be, hopefully the Supreme Court. It's going to go that way no matter what, because whatever side loses is going to appeal. Obviously, there is a lot of ground between where we are now and where we may end up. Our expectations are realistic, and we remain hopeful. A lot of liberty is riding on this. When we started CCDL, we had no idea that we would be close to 10,000 members in under 5 years. Many have told me that they had no idea that we would become the center of a major gun rights battle and grow and become so crucial to the protection of what we believe are our natural rights. We are proud to have earned the trust of so many by building a reputation through hard-fought, hands-on action. I personally never believed a role of such magnitude would come my way. To me, it's a blessing to be here today. Prior to CCDL, I was a relatively quiet individual. I went to work every day. I did volunteer work for the Department of Corrections to help turn people's lives around. I basically just tried to enjoy my life. But those in charge of this and that never seem to leave us alone. They're always clawing and digging for new ways to invade and insert themselves into our private lives. After looking around at the collusion-like practices of government at every level, from federal, state, and local, I finally felt it was time to do my part with others that felt the same way. I wish to thank the Libertarian Party of Connecticut for their vision of a society based on smaller government, more liberty, and more personal responsibility for asking me to keynote this convention. It has also been an honor and a privilege, pause, to have Dan reach out to me with this invitation. Keep the faith, because better days are ahead. Keep at it as though our future depends on it, because it most certainly does. Thank you all very much for listening. On behalf of CCDL, thank you.